Winning season returns at MyBookie. Winning season means doubling your first deposit. Winning season means Survivor, Super Contests, and Squares. At MyBookie, winning season means hitting all your parlays and props with your feet up, watching your team trounce their rivals. Rejoice, guys! It's time to celebrate the NFL season. Invest in your intuition. Use promo code Elite Sports and double your first deposit. New players get up to $1,000 in free play, designed to add more excitement to the sports you love and the games you bet. From live betting to championship futures, every play you want to make is waiting at MyBookie. It's simple. Make your picks, win big, collect your cash. Use promo code Elite Sports and double your first deposit. Your winning season begins today, only at MyBookie.
How's it going? What's you been up to, man? It's been kind of a crazy few months, hasn't it? What's been up?
Yeah, just taking care of my off the field stuff, doing the whole analyst thing. I'm into the real estate stuff now, and I'm starting my own 7-on-7 team for these guys to go start cleaning up at college camps around here. So I'm staying busy down here in South Florida, so just trying to keep everything going through this pandemic as best as I can.
Well, that's great to hear, man. I just came back from Pensacola today. Great weather down there. It was great to get down to Florida, man. So obviously, as we look forward here to training camp, which went full pads today, nobody really knows it because no one's there to cover it. What is this NFL season, man? This is gonna look a little different. This is gonna be crazy. I mean, with no fans or very few fans. As a former player, someone that retired just 3 years ago, like what's your level of excitement going into this? Is it just gonna be kind of curious to see how things go, or do you think we can really make a good run at this season?
I'm going to be very curious. I don't think the no fans aspect will be a big problem for the players to play through because these are players that just love the game that they play. And I think the stadiums will do a great job playing crowd anyway. But they'll play music during the game, put in fake crowd noise to simulate a real game as best as they can. But my biggest issue is if they try to do a bubble situation like the NBA and try to keep all the players at a hotel all year, it'll feel like a training camp all year. So I don't know if the production on the field will be the same and guys will be just as juiced on the field and we'll see crazy stats that we're used to seeing. I just think guys that get so used to doing everything the same way every day, and they're not going to come out with that same fire on Sunday. So I'm hoping that's not the case, and we can just see a season full of fireworks.
Absolutely. And Brandon, you mentioned you're doing your analyst thing there. After the Chiefs beat the Chargers last November, you were on First Things First, and you said Chiefs were looking for maybe a first-round playoff loss here. And in your defense, they were down big margins there in all those playoff games. Just what did you see in Mahomes in that whole playoff run?
To be honest, I knew Mahomes was special, but in that run, he showed me how special he really is. I thought he was human. I thought he was human. He was going to go out there, start turning the ball over, making young mistakes that young quarterbacks make, but he's not that guy. And the Chiefs haven't had that, outstanding playoff record. Andy Reid hasn't had an outstanding playoff record. And I just didn't want Kansas City to think that they can coast into the playoffs and just think they can just turn it on. But, man, the way Mahomes played, he definitely showed he deserved the contract he got. And not only that, you see Andy Reid, he's interesting because he's going to load up his offense and say, whatever we have on defense, we're just going to have to live with. We're going to outscore everybody we play. So every offensive weapon that he feel like he needs to have, he's going to keep intact. And going into the draft going forward, I think you'll see a New England type of draft phase where they're just drafting O-linemen and D-linemen every year because the skill position is going to be set.
What was your emotions like when the Chiefs came back and beat the San Francisco 49ers in Super Bowl 54? You played for this franchise for 6 years. You played for 4 different head coaches here, which is insane. But you played for Andy Reid in 13 before you moved on to the Chargers. What was it like for you as a former player? Obviously, you went to the Chargers in hopes of getting to play against the Chiefs, so there might have been some little resentment there going to the Chargers. But what was it like for you as a former player, knowing that you helped kind of build the foundation of this and what it kind of became under Andy Reid?
You know what? It was a little bittersweet. I was so happy for the fans, just the guys in the locker room who I played with, just because I was there. We was winning 2 games a year, 4 games a year. The stadium's still packed. It's still Red Friday. So I just know how much it meant to the city and everyone. You know, Coach Andy Reid's a great guy. I know how much he wanted to get that monkey off his back. But at the same time, I was just like, man, if we would have had a Patrick Mahomes and I was there, because we was a defense first team when I was there. You know, we just brought over Matt Castle, and then I only played, one, maybe 2 years with Alex Smith. So at least if I would have had Alex Smith for a couple years, I'd have felt better about it. But it was like a revolving door at quarterback when I was there. So I was just like, man, I just wish I had a Patrick Mahomes on my team to be celebrating in Miami. I was there at the game, so it was all love, man. I was there to see the confetti come down. I can't lie and not say I wish I wasn't on that field at that time.
Well, you mentioned it there. Maybe in 2014, that playoff game against the Colts, the second biggest playoff comeback in NFL history. If you guys had Patrick Mahomes, it would have turned out differently. Just a tale of two halves. Talk about that game, how strange it was.
It was very strange. And the most frustrating part was I was hurt. Myself and Jamal Charles was in a locker room, and we couldn't do anything to make a play to bring our team back. And this is why I think Mahomes will be special in Kansas City, because Andy Reid is not a guy who's going to be conservative. He don't care how many points he's up. He don't know how to be conservative. And when we had Alex Smith at the time, it was just we wasn't knocking off minutes off the clock like we should on every possession. And now that they have Patrick Mahomes, you almost like give him the ball every possession. I don't care if we're up 20, give it to him. So that's why Mahomes and Reid would be so special. He wants the ball in Mahomes' hands. Mahomes wants the ball in his hands. So it's just a perfect match. And I don't think something like that will ever happen in Kansas City again.
Well, I want to go back to the 08 draft class. You come in, you're the second pick here in Kansas City. The Chiefs had 2 first-round picks that year, and Brandon Albert and Glenn Dorsey. You come in, that draft class is legendary to this day. Jamal Charles is in there. Your running mate, Brandon Carr, comes in there later on. Just talk about that draft class coming in here after a prodigious career at Virginia Tech. You forgo your senior season, and you're drafted by Herm Edwards and the Kansas City Chiefs. And like you said, went on to win 2 games that year. But that foundation really is what kicked off the success this franchise wound up having. So kind of a double-edged sword there. But, man, some really great players from that era, man.
Definitely. It was a special season for me, because I respected the guys that went first round before me and Glenn Dorsey. I played him that season. We played LSU, Virginia Tech, so I knew how good of a player he was. So I was happy to be on a team with that guy. I knew what kind of leadership he was going to bring to the team. Brandon Albert, he went to a rival school of mine at UVA. So I kind of knew the players I was coming in with. Opposite of myself was a veteran cornerback in year 12, Patrick Surtain, who is my cousin, so I already knew the cornerback on the other side. When Brandon Carr came in, we just clicked from the jump because we were the next corners in line. We had to grow up quick. We had Donnie Edwards, who was in year 15, Napoleon Harris. We just had a whole bunch of old guys. We knew we had to step up quick. We didn't have time to watch and try to catch on, so we kind of took that personal as young guys because we knew how good we were in college, and we all wanted to make that step on the next level. So at the same time, even Dwayne Bowe, he was only a year older than us. We all was just like, hey, this is our team. Even though we're in year 1 and year 2, let's set for a legacy, that this whole city and franchise will remember us by. And that's what we tried to go out and do.
Well, Brandon, I wanted to ask you about 2 games you played in 2011. The first one, interception return for a touchdown versus the Raiders. You're looking back at Carson Palmer, and then you pose in front of the black hole. And the second one was the Chargers coming to Arrowhead. Rivers fumbles the snap, and you and a lot of the defensive players are wearing scream masks. Take us back to those 2 moments.
So going back to my Oakland Raiders interception, it's crazy you mentioned it because if you can see, I have the picture right here in my man cave right
That's
here.
Great.
I love that picture. So, and to be honest with you, I literally had a dream the night before. It was like, listen, if I get an interception in the black hole, I'm taking a 15-yard penalty, I'm standing on the ball, and just so happened it came. And while I was running the whole time, I was just smiling, looking at the fans like, if you only knew what I'm going to do when I get in this end zone. Because the hate was real between Kansas City and Oakland. Like, I really hate Oakland as if I was a 2-year-old Kansas City fan. So that moment just felt great, just to taunt the crowd a little bit because it's like a real hate rivalry going on with Kansas City and Oakland. And going back to the Phillip Rivers Chargers, but with a fumble, at that time, we thought the Chargers had the game won. They was in field goal range, and we walking off the field like, man, we can't believe we let this one get out of the way. And He fumbled the ball. We got it. And I just so happily told my dad to go to Walmart and get a whole bunch of screen masks like the night before the game, because if we win, we're going to wear them on the field. And we had him on the sideline. I was just looking at the screen mask like we're not going to get a chance to wear them. And as soon as he fumbled the ball, I didn't even see him fumble because I came off the field for that play because they was in a jumbo set, no receivers on the field, I think. And I just heard the crowd yell. And I seen us just running off the field like we got the ball. And that's when I just looked at the screen mask. I actually got that picture in my man cave also hung up. So those are two special moments for me, man. Just to even point those out in 2011, I got both of those in my memorabilia room right now. Those are definitely great moments in my career.
How difficult was it for you during your time at Kansas City? You played for 4 head coaches. You're drafted by Herm Edwards. Then Todd Haley comes in and Scott Pioli, and then Romeo Crennel comes in for a year. I mean, how difficult was that for you? What was it like kind of playing for those 4 different coaches? And was it, I think the scheme changed. You went to a 3-4 in the middle of this, and like there was a lot of changes, a lot of overhead, a lot of turnover through that whole time. Meanwhile, there's so many great players that were a part of that. From you talk about Dwayne Bowe, we talked about Jamal Charles, Derek Johnson, Dustin Colquitt, that was around forever, and you guys were all in your primes or coming into them at that point. But man, playing for 4 different head coaches had to just be really frustrating as a player back then, man. What was that like?
It is. To be at a franchise for 6 years and you playing again for 4 different head coaches, it's tough because every coach have a different personality. And you can only be you on the football field. You'll try to be accustomed to what they want and what they're bringing in. But when it's happening every year, and it's weird because each head coach, they love their system. Some coaches might come in and say, I like taller cornerbacks. I like faster cornerbacks. So every coach is going to come in with their players that they like. And it's almost like you're trying out for the team every year. Is you got to prove yourself to that head coach and that defensive coordinator saying, hey, I know you like this, but I'm a hell of a player too. So you might just want to keep me on this team. And it gets even tougher when you go into defensive schemes because you're getting a different playbook every year or two. So you don't get comfortable with your teammates out there knowing in what spots they're going to be in because, that first year getting a new defense, you're still learning all the terminology, exactly where your teammates can help you at on each play. So I never really got a chance to get comfortable, and just learn a defensive scheme and master it, trying to be in the same system for 4 or 5 years. I had a different system almost every year. So it was tough, but that comes with the game. So you just got to roll with the punches.
Well, just a little more specifically on that, talk about how tough it was to play for a coach like Todd Haley. We've heard a lot of players say it was tough. We got in shouting matches with Matt Castle on the sideline. I think him and Barry Richardson got in a little scuffle in that Ravens playoff game later down the road. Just talk a little bit about playing for Coach Haley.
To be honest, I love Todd Haley. Offensive guys hate Todd Haley because he's a perfectionist. If you're not doing something right, he's going to let you know at that instance how he feels, and this is what you need to do to get it right. Defense side of the ball, we love it because we're just like, hey, yeah, tell the offense what they need to do. They need to score more points. They need to get this first down. So myself on the defensive side of the ball, I love the way he attacked his coaching methods because he don't try to overstep. Even though he's a head coach and he can comment on the defense, he knows, hey, I'm an offensive head coach. I let the defensive coordinator handle what's going on defense. I'm rarely going to say anything to the defense unless we're just blowing assignments. So I love the discipline he brought to our team. I felt like we needed it at that time. And I think players play better under Todd Haley. They don't realize it because they're frustrated, but they definitely do play a lot better under that guy.
Yeah, no question about it. I mean, another one that kind of stands out to me, you had 21 career interceptions, Brandon. Tremendous career at corner. Another one that stands out there, 2010, you talk about Todd Haley. This was the first year that we really saw sort of that, his philosophies and start to really take hold because you guys made the playoffs that year, but may not have been possible if early in the season you get a pick 6 against the Cleveland Browns to win that game. And that I think you guys started 3-0 that year. Talk about that 2010 season. You get that pick 6 in Cleveland, winning that game, and you guys make the playoffs. Eric Berry's a rookie. And the team wasn't probably ready to beat the Ravens yet, a team like that. But, this really was a pivotal moment because, the Chiefs haven't made the playoffs in 4 seasons. Take us back to that 2010 season.
I remember 2010 season like it was yesterday. we were still fairly young. We had a lot of young talent like Eric Berry, you mentioned, coming in, Javier Arenas, Kendrick Lewis. Those are 3 rookies we still added to our secondary, while we were still very young at corner with myself and Brandon Carr. But with having so much experience of having us start as rookies, we took the field. The 2010 season was right after a 4-win season, if I'm not mistaken. But every time we took the field, we felt like we're the best team on the field. We don't beat ourselves. We'll run anybody out of the stadium. So we almost kind of loved playing on the road because we just felt like, teams is marking this down as a win because they're seeing our schedule. And we just went to Cleveland wanting to have fun. And that particular play, we did a great job of disguising. The quarterback thought I was in man coverage. I dropped off in zone, picked it off. That was definitely a fun highlight for me to have to add to my collection.
Was that the next week against the Texans that you had that horrendous pass interference on Andre Johnson that cost? You remember that? I think you got. Did you get thrown out of the game or you got a penalty?
I should have got thrown out of the game because I was letting the ref know what I thought of his call. Which wouldn't have mattered anyway because Andre Johnson still caught the ball, but I thought it was gonna be OPI because he pushed off, but. Just going into that game, I always respect Andre Johnson because he's a South Florida guy like myself. And one thing about Romeo Cornell at the time, he was just like, hey, you got him. We're not giving you no help. We understand he's a potential Hall of Famer. You got him. So that whole day, we was kind of going at it back and forth. He'll get completions. I get pass deflection. So we're just going at it. So I was just pretty ticked off in that fourth quarter when it really mattered. It was one of those plays like that changed the outcome of the game. But that's just how much, 2 guys love the game. Him on his part trying to make that play. That's why I was so mad after the play because I don't take losses lightly, man. I would love to go 16-0. So I definitely should have got kicked out of that game, though, because I just lost it on the sideline.
Well, we've talked a little bit about Eric Berry here, Brandon, and he said that in 2012, you and him were watching film of Manning and the Broncos the night before the game, and you saw a deep, skinny post play, and you told him, man, if they run that play tomorrow, I'm going to pick that off. They run it, you pick it off. Eric said you called your shots a lot like that. Is that true?
It's true. We have a lot of defensive backs come from my area down here in South Florida, right? And I bring them to my house. Even guys that's in college right now, that's in the SEC, ACC, I bring all these guys in and watch film with them. And I tell them, when you're watching film, it's good to know how the offense is going to attack you, but don't try to put yourself on film and say, I'm going to make every play. Pick out 2 plays in every game, 3 max, that if they run, you're going to make, and you're going to look like you had a highlight game if you leave with 1 or 2 interceptions that game. So every game I went in, I knew if they got in this formation, if they do this motion, I'm literally going to get an interception on this play. If I'm wrong, then I'm giving up 7. I'm sorry. But for me, studying this film, I know I'm going to make a play if they run this route. And it paid off on that play. And that's what I just try to drill to my young guys now. Don't try to be perfect all game. Know how the offense is going to attack you, but have your 2 to 3 plays that you can make a play to change the game off of.
Oh, Brandon, I know you're a proud Virginia Tech Hokie. The ACC, the SEC, and the Big 12, they want to play football this year. The Big 10 and Pac-12 just aren't going to be able to do it. Apparently, what is your thought? This college football season, we talked about the NFL, how different this is going to look. What is this college football season going to be? I mean, are we just kicking the can down the road? Or do you think that these conferences are really going to be able to do this? And how do you feel about the Big 10 saying, sorry, we were going to have to cancel till spring?
I applaud the Big Ten and Pac-12 for canceling their season. I think they're really concerned about their players' safety. To the schools that's not sitting out, I do understand why they're playing because they feel like if they be safe enough, they'll be able to get away with it. So I see both sides. Like, you're being safe because this is life and death we're talking about. We're not talking about somebody sitting out a season because of ACL injury, because the field is bad. We're talking about life and death and passing diseases to your parents and friends and family. So that's pretty serious. But to the conferences that are playing, I know why they're playing, because they feel like you're football players. You can go out there and break your neck or get killed on any little hit, So the probability of that happening isn't high, but it can happen. They look at it, the probability of catching COVID isn't high, but it could happen. So let's just go out there and play the game we love to play. And it's also a business at the end of the day. They still want to see that revenue come in. So whichever way they go, I mean, I try not to dig too deep into it.
Absolutely. And I got to ask about old head Brandon Carr. I think he's a free agent this year, but last year he's playing for the Ravens, 34 years old. What have you seen in his game as he's moved on from the Chiefs and now with the Ravens up to last year? And now I don't know if he's taking the year off because of COVID, if he's going to come back after this year, if he's looking for a job right now. But talk a little bit about your former running mate there, Brandon Carr.
He's a machine, man. He's like the Terminator. He never gets injured. He never gets a hamstring strain. It's just – he's a pro. He's gonna approach every day, every practice, every meeting like he's a rookie. He's gonna take notes. He's gonna practice hard, and I think franchises, they appreciate that. He's a guy that you will want your younger guys to look up to in the locker room and say, "Hey, I want to be like that guy," because he does everything the right way when it comes to saving his money. He does great things off the field with kids, and he's not slowing down. He's a big corner that can still run. So right now, he's sitting out there as a free agent, but with guys opting out, and I feel like guys are going to get banged up early this season because they didn't have enough time to get their bodies prepared for this season. I think he'll get picked up this year, and he'll go in and service his team well.
Well, Brandon, before we let you go, you got to give us kind of your info here because you talked about kind of getting in the real estate game, kind of becoming an analyst and things of that nature. What's the best way for people to get a hold of you or check out what you're doing? How can we get a hold of you, my man?
Wow. How can you get a hold of me? Because I'm so bored on Instagram. Every network I deal with, everyone I like that's in my networking like group is just like, hey, you got to liven up your Instagram so people feel like they can contact you on there. I'm literally such an introvert. I mean, I'm going to get my Instagram going, and that would be the best way to, get to me because Instagram is a way that you can show yourself and just put yourself out there and market yourself. So Instagram would be the way to go, but it's just like I'm so just hidden. Like I'm a hidden type of guy. Me and Eric Berry's the same. Like we'll just fall off the face of the earth and nobody know what's going on. But I will liven my Instagram up, and that'll be the way to get to me.
We have learned that about Eric Berry. We've tried to get a hold of him so many times over the past couple of years. We know his friend Inky Johnson really well. We're trying to make some impasse there. We're going to get a hold of Eric one of these days if it's the last thing we do.
Listen, if you get a hold of him, let me know how you got a hold of him. And we know that's just how Eric Berry is. Like, We don't look at it anyway. Like, come on, man, you don't know us. No, that's just how he is. I'm pretty sure he's probably writing a movie script somewhere, like on his private island. I'm telling you, the guy's a genius, but I understand he's an introvert, so good luck.
Well, Brandon, tremendous thoughts. We can't thank you enough for your time today, my friend. Stay safe and stay healthy, man. Let's get some semblance of a football season out there to enjoy. Hopefully it happens and everybody is good to go out there and doing it in a safe way, man. Thanks so much for your time.
Thanks for having me. I definitely enjoyed it.
It was an absolute honor, and thank you for everything you did here in Kansas City.
Appreciate it. Thank you. Thank you so much. Take care.
You too.